else is here.
There's nobody here.
I can feel a presence. Somebody else is in here.
Oh, some weird story that Emily told me about room 36.
Emily? Who's Emily?
The blind girl that lives in the old house by the crossroads.
The girl that lives in the old house by the crossroads.
Yes!
That house has been abandoned for the last 50 years.
But that's not true. It's not possible. I was there.
Woe be unto him who opens one of the 7 gateways to hell, because through that gateway, evil will invade the world.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
Ciao!
This week, we'll be discussing the horror classic, The Beyond, directed by Lucio Fulci. You know him, don't you?
R.I.P., R.I.P.
Not to be confused with From Beyond, which is a different movie.
And not to be confused with Dr. Fauci.
Definitely not to be confused with Dr. Fauci. In Italian, I'm going to butcher this, it's called E tu vivrai nel terrore l'all'idilla. You like that? Which means, and you will live in terror, the beyond.
And you will live in terror. And I talk to my Italian people, and everybody's like, I've never heard of this movie before in my life.
It's a classic from 1981. Good times. So you had never heard of this
Never
movie
heard
either.
of it. Are you kidding me? My DNA was altered by just watching Zombie, where literally there is no safe place. You can be on a boat in the middle of the ocean, and zombies will just float up and crawl on your boat. So
Yes.
after that, I think that he reached his pinnacle there, and then I decided not to pick that scab anymore.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We had all seen Zombie, also known as Zombie 2, because it's the unofficial sequel of Dawn of the Dead, George Romero's classic.
With no relation to George Romero whatsoever.
Not at all. This is what they do in Italy, at least at that time. They would make false sequels of popular American films.
Nice.
Just try to do their best. This was actually the second movie in a kind of a thematic trilogy by Lucio Fulci. The first was called City of the Living Dead, also called The Gates of Hell.
All right.
Which I've seen.
And?
Which is rough. It is rough. Because it's at this time, as you know, Italian kind of exploitation cinema is it is blood and guts by the
I'm
bucket.
just going to call this gore porn. It's not
that's
torture
exactly
porn,
what it is.
It's just gore porn.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah, like we said, Zombie is famous for the zombie pulling the woman and her eye gets poked out by a splinter of wood.
So many eyes.
In slow motion detail.
So many pokes.
Exactly.
So many chunks of meat.
City of the Living Dead was famous for a woman literally puking her guts out.
Oh, well, there was a little of that in this one, too.
That's just from the audience, evidently.
Oh, that ain't no lie, because I remember being 16 watching Zombie at the theater, and at one point, I had a little backup.
You better believe it.
Oh.
You better believe it is gruesome.
Gruesome.
It is gruesome.
We're not talking about Quentin Tarantino splashing the wall with blood in Django Unchained. No,
if only.
No. Rid yourself of that thought.
No, that's a walk in the park on a Sunday afternoon.
That's right.
Compared
You
to
take
this good stuff.
your preschool children to go see that beyond this.
Oh, sweet Lord. Yes, so it was City of the Living Dead, then The Beyond, which is this movie, and then there was one more called The House by the Cemetery. So that was another Lucio Fulci classic. I have not seen that one. That one, although it's on Shudder, so I may have to watch it at some point.
See, and then you were sassafrassy me making you watch all the Argento films. That's easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Oh, that ain't nothing.
That is Alice Adventures in Wonderland. That is Winnie the Pooh.
You better believe it. You better believe it. So you'd never heard of this movie. I only had started to hear about it as I kind of started to delve into the Italian cinema a little bit.
All right.
From, again, late 70s, early 80s.
Do they have a magic name for this? This isn't Yalo still.
It's not technically giallo, but it's kind of an offshoot of that kind of popularity, because there are some overlap with the Dario Argento, the Lamberto Bava, the Ruggero Deodato.
Oh my
if you
God!
will.
Listen to you.
Thank
You're
you.
very suave and sophisticated with your gut-wrenching, vomitory
This is
cinema,
this.
or
This
as we
is
say in Italy, cinema.
that's exactly right. So give us the 30-second synopsis of The Beyond.
It is so incoherent. I will do my very best.
Please do.
It opens up like 1927. Villagers with pitchforks and oh my God, what do they call those? The torches.
Torches.
Burning
New Orleans.
torches in New Orleans inside a hotel. Drag out what appears to be Salvador Dali and nails him to a wall and pours acid on him. Boom! And some crazy chick is found their version of the Necronomicon is reading some spells. Her eyes turn the color of snot. Bang! 1981. Some chick inherits a hotel and that has bad plumbing, and it all goes to hell. Everybody who goes in the hotel dies. Witches, portals to hell. Disgustingness. I don't even remember how it ended. It was just incoherent.
Yes.
The end.
It's true. It's definitely, they say it's kind of a surreal experience, because there aren't, like you said,
there's no plot. Is that it?
The plot, yes, the plot doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. I mean, there are people who are like, is this a ghost or is this a real? Well, she just got killed. I guess she's not a ghost. There's a lot of that going on. There's people who are struck blind.
Oh my God. It looks like they melted like a dirty white crayon and used that as contact lenses.
Right. They were not great contacts. You could see like their real pupils underneath.
There. It was homemade. It was pure homemade.
It was pure. It was pure homemade.
Hold still. I melted the crayon. Hold still.
I literally have 2 pages of notes, because it is nonstop anarchy.
Oh my God. There were parts that were so disgusting and ridiculous that I actually guffawed. But thank God I watched it. I watched it with half of it with my coffee in the morning. Yeah. And the other half like at 12 noon eating a salad. And I was like, I was calling my son, William, you got to see this. Oh, shit. Ah!
Yes. This is a standard. Literally, the first thing I kept thinking of, why are they bringing torches into the house?
That's what I thought.
It's one thing to be outside the castle walls, waving your torches and pitchforks. They're walking through a well-lit hotel carrying torches. This seems like a fire hazard. At the very least.
At the very least. A couple of other things for you to consider. This is New Orleans, and the only black person is a dude at the check-in desk. And no one has a New Orleans accent. Not one Southern frickin' accent.
Let me stop you right there.
Southern Italy.
Exactly. The main characters do not. I mean, the girl who's inherited the hotel, she's allegedly from New York, born and raised.
Not a New York accent either.
No. Well, she's a British actress who's straining to capture the. Dr. McCabe is from New Zealand. Yeah. The actor
is. It's all shenanigans.
But all the other randos had the worst Southern accents I've ever heard. Like they bring in the crazy like plumber guy. She's like, oh, well, let me show you the basement that's flooded. He's like, well, away we go then.
Away we go. Oh my God. He's a method actor. He really wanted to just kind of really dive into that.
It was ridiculous. I mean, the painter, how's it going up there? It's going well. There's somebody else. It was there. They're horrible.
Ridiculous.
Well, and it's part of it is because in the Italian style, they always overdub. They always.
I kept watching the lips. I'm like, what is going on here? Are they dubbing it or?
Yes,
because the housekeeper, she's Italian, right?
A lot of the cast is Italian. The main actors are not. But it doesn't matter because it's like a Chinese kung fu movie where we're overdubbing everybody. I don't care.
Right.
Even if you speak perfectly.
And all the credits are in Italian.
Yes.
All the credits are in Italian, yet strangely they're speaking quote unquote English.
Yes. Yeah. It was so ridiculous. I love. Oh, sweet you. Okay, so at the beginning where he's getting the evil painter is being
the evil
crucified.
warlock painter. We don't know exactly what it is that he's done.
Right, I wrote that down. What did he do?
Guilty of what?
Of poor taste in paintings?
I thought it was kind of interesting. So they crucify Salvador Dali.
Yes.
And let me just tell you folks, a lot of acid. So
is that what that was? I thought it was cream of wheat. I'm like, what is happening? Why are they pouring this on him?
And then all of a sudden, they went from torches to now they have a wheelbarrow and buckets of old acid.
Right.
And they carried that. I couldn't even figure out where they nailed him up because one minute they're outside, then they're in the hotel.
Yeah.
Where did it take place? And once again, where did the wheelbarrow of acid come from?
This is a good question.
A lot of acid.
So
a lot of just things happening to faces.
Yes. A lot of
the mask ends right at the jawline, and from the neck down, you're all of a natural color, but your face is yellow and green.
Yes, the evil painter.
The perfect line.
The evil painter comes back as a zombie, or not the painter. The evil plumber comes back as a zombie, and it is literally like a rubber Halloween mask, green and weird, and then his neck normal color. Hands, normal color.
Pink and alive.
Vivacious.
And quite frankly, honestly, I think that's a different guy.
It might be.
Because the plumber is huge.
Yeah.
But the zombie plumber wearing the mask is small.
Right. It doesn't matter.
Did you notice that?
He's wearing a
like
mask.
A whole different body. Yes.
It doesn't matter.
It just doesn't matter.
Okay, so I always have the subtitles on so that people cannot hear the screams and gore. And at one point, it literally just said spooky music with a beat.
Yes, they do use this kind of terrifying electronica disco.
Yes. It really sets the right mood.
Same in Zombie with a 4/4 time beat. Da, da, da. I'm sure they have their own version of Goblin because they couldn't afford Goblin.
Yes. Oh, no
He
question.
was booked with Argento.
Yes. It was scary music by the Bee Gees is basically what it was. I love how the wall painter falls off the scaffold and he's like in agony on the couch going, get the doctor. The doctor arrives. Hey, he should go to the hospital.
Of course. And why would you drag him into your couch while he's gurgling just gallons of blood out of his mouth? I believe in the 80s we had 911.
Right. Well, I mean this is New Orleans, right? Theoretically, like, a major city.
Still part of the United States.
Yes. You don't have to get the doctor to do a house call. Right? You could just take him to the hospital, call an ambulance, something along those lines.
Or push him in the swamp. I mean, we're on some kind of New Orleans roll because our last film was New Orleans too.
That is true. Sad but true.
Just in time for Mardi Gras. Laissez bon temps rouler.
Did you notice that Dr. McCabe, the doctor, is also like the mortician? That would inspire a lot of confidence.
He's double dipping.
That would not inspire a lot of confidence if I'm in there to get checked out by the doctor. I'm also the mortician, just in case. You never know. He's like the medical examiner. It's like, sweet Jesus. Okay, thanks.
Is it Dr. Spachaman?
It is. Sweet Lord. So the plumber goes down under the hotel, and it's literally just filled with water. And he's got one crazy
It is like
toolbox.
the canals in Venice.
Yes.
It goes on because the hotel is the size of, I don't know, not a mansion.
It has 36 rooms.
A large house. But if you look at the outside,
yes,
it's
does
just
look big.
a house.
Yes.
It's like a New Orleans house.
Yeah.
It's not a place that would have 36 rooms.
No. No.
There's
what
a little inconsistency.
Well, and the basement was so big and so waterlogged. I expect to see the Phantom of the Opera rolling by. I mean, it was huge.
The Phantom of the Opera is here.
And the plumber is literally lighting a cigarette. How do you know there's not like a gas leak? I mean, with all the pipe damage, it could be
It was
anarchy.
practically the 70s. It was all free and easy.
Oh, easily free. So he starts breaking into a wall, and then a hand comes out, grabs his face, and promptly pokes out his eyes. Just like
Bing.
pop out. It was.
You better get, if you like eye popping, this is the show.
This
for you.
is the movie for you. There's a lot of eye damage in this movie, to say the least.
To me, it's an eye damage week because I just watched Kill Bill Volume 2, where Uma Thurman steps on Daryl Hannah's eyes between her toes and it pops out. So it's all about the eye. Pluck it out.
That's it. Well, here's the thing. This is kind of a behind the scenes. Quentin Tarantino loves The Beyond. Loves it. And he's one of the people who helped to restore it.
I saw that because it's by Grindhouse.
Yes.
It's been released through Grindhouse.
Yes.
And as I told you, at the end of Kill Bill Volume 2, there's an RIP section with
Oh, really?
Lucio Fulci.
That's interesting. Well, yeah, he was a big fan. Big fan. Good Lord. Okay, then we meet Martha and Arthur, who I guess came with the hotel.
Yes, that made no. They came with the hotel,
Right.
I mean, it's still slavery, or what does that mean?
We can't fire them. They
Get
came
out
with the
of here,
hotel.
terrible people. I've inherited this. Get out. Don't make me get a stick and chase you out.
And it's that same kind of thing. Are they ghostly? It's like, are they witchy or something? Doesn't
Apparently
appear so.
not.
Right, because they promptly get killed with their horrible accents. Martha at one point discovers Joe the plumber's body
Oh,
and
it's
does not
brown
look
water.
even remotely concerned. She's just like, that's interesting. Sweet Jesus. It's acting. Acting.
Or she put her arm, she walks in, there's a bathtub with black water in it. First of all,
yes.
we all know there's a body in there.
Oh, no question.
We all know. Frankly, the smell would have punched you in the head the minute you got to that floor. So
Yes.
the fact that she rolls up her sleeves and slowly is digging around to
And pulls a
free the
huge
plug.
lump of something out of the drink.
Ah! And then, of course, the water slowly drips down and then reveals his face.
Yeah, Joe the plumber's corpse back from the grave. Good Lord. So that's the end of poor Martha. And her eyeball pops out as well. So that's
Another popping.
Another eyes are popping. No question. Then there's that scene where at the morgue, the other doctor's like hooking up the old 60-year-old corpse to the brainwave detector. Did you notice that? It's like, why? What do you think you're going to get on this? Makes
And then
no
for
sense.
what purpose?
It's literally, the only purpose is there is so the audience will see, oh, look, there's brainwaves for 1 second, right? I mean, these guys are doctors. There's no way they would think even for a second. It would be like, let's hook this guy up to the EKG and see what he's been dead for 60 years.
I'm gonna check his pulse.
Right.
He's crunchy as a mummy. Crunchy as a mummy.
Yes. It's like, why waste your time? Good times.
New Orleans is swampy and full of bugs. Why would there be anything left?
Well, and that's kind of a goof. New Orleans, they don't have basements.
Because of the
high water total.
High water, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that would explain why it's flooded.
Hey, there we go.
That's why.
It all makes sense now.
Yeah, but I did love the plumber just busting through walls. You think they'd be like, hey, I'm going to have to knock this down. But no, wham!
Right. Smashing
like
through walls.
Amityville Horror when they break into the house and try to break into the Red Room. They're
Right.
just like, I'm just going to, you're upstairs. You don't know I'm here. I'm just going to take a sledgehammer and start smacking into shit.
Well, and she's already established she doesn't have a pot to piss in. She's like there's the free architect who's like, well, we can do all sorts of work. And she's like, I have no money. So whatever you can do for free would be great. He's like, okay, sounds good. What?
Sounds good. Well,
I mean,
there's going to be some services traded.
there better be for Joe the plumber as well. How much do you think that would fixing the downstairs?
Exactly. He's already, there's a link down below. That connects to the morgue, by the way.
It clearly must. Sweet Jesus. It all comes
really,
together.
it's like an underground Venice. You can just take the gondola to the morgue directly.
Right. So, okay, later, literally, we're in the first 5 minutes of the movie. So Joe's widow goes to the morgue, I guess, just to get him dressed. And there's a sign there. Did you notice what it said?
No, what did it say?
Do not entry.
Oh, Jesus.
Do not entry. Okay.
Well, there were a couple of things that, if you were really American, you know. She was worried about if this doesn't work, she was going to have to go on
relief.
We don't say that.
Right. I
you're going to go on the welfare. You're going to go on the unemployment. We don't say we go on the relief.
I did notice that. Yes.
We don't even need to bother to have an American maybe check over the script at all.
It was very bizarre admission. I have to get this hotel off the ground and working, or I'll have to go on the European version of welfare.
Right.
And
really.
It's like, you can't just sell the hotel? What? Okay. Good times. Thanks.
Exactly.
Or you can get a job. How about that?
How about that?
Get a job, you deadbeat. Anyway, sweet Jesus. So
much. There's just so many things that I have written down here.
Oh, I'm just getting warmed up. So Joe's wife sees something in the morgue that freaks her out. Her daughter walks in and sees her mom laying on the ground with just like acid pouring on her.
Yeah, that's what I wrote. So much acid.
Yes.
So many eye pops.
Big bowl of acid just pours on her. And I kept thinking...
It's like drinking. It was like one of those Blanco water things.
Yeah.
But now it's filled with more acid.
I just thought to myself, her mom's not instantly dead. Couldn't she have done something instead of just staring at her mom slowly dissolve for 20 minutes?
As soon as that acid started burning a hole in your head, wouldn't you roll to the side or something?
Something's going on.
For God's sakes.
Sweet Jesus.
Oh my God.
I put save your mother, exclamation point. And then I said, why not go out the way you came in? Because now she's
up crazy.
Because then she's trying to running away from like the acidy, bloody foam.
Yeah.
From
now
her mom.
The whole floor of the morgue is filled with this gelatinous liquid mom, and it's all trying to come at her, I guess.
Yeah. It's a lot.
God.
It's a lot of foam.
Did you notice that the morgue, the setup looked like the Star Trek Enterprise?
Yes.
Like the bridge. I'm like,
and just
it's
bodies.
A very odd setup.
Bodies just kind of laying out on the table. Don't we want to refrigerate some of these? I don't know.
It's hot. Everybody is sweating in this thing.
So they said that she, what's her name? Liza, who inherited the hotel from her uncle. And I kept thinking, did nothing happen to the uncle? He was just opening a bed and breakfast for 60 years and all's good?
Yeah. Who was the uncle?
No
was it the uncle, the one that was crucified in 1927?
That's Schweik, the evil warlock painter, evidently. Who, again, we don't see him do anything particularly evil except paint.
We have no idea except paint a painting that looks like Salvador Dali.
Yes.
It's like straight out Salvador Dali.
So, smash cut to the funeral of Joe's funeral and now Mom's funeral as well. Everyone's hugging poor little girl. Oh, it's so sad. I'm sorry. It's so sad. And then she looks up at the camera and she's got the crazy blind eyes.
She's got the snot eyes. Not clear white like in Kung Fu, like the old
grasshopper.
It is, like I said, it's the color of snot. You have a slight infection.
Yes.
Disgusting.
No question. Well, and again,
it gives you the cataracts is what it does.
So is no one taking care of this little girl? Because no one seemed to notice she was blind. Like she's just wandering blind around the cemetery. Did somebody at least hold her hand? Or
Maybe she's situationally blind. And then you have the weird blind lady with the seeing eye dog,
Yes.
where the dog doesn't really pay attention. She's like dragging it over with her.
Yeah.
This way, dog. You
Yes.
worst seeing blind dog in the world.
Yes. So the woman from 60 years ago who was reading the Book of Abon, which is like the Necronomicon, I guess.
I tried to look it up. There's all these references to Lovecraft.
Right. That's
blah, blah, blah.
Yes, that was something written in like a Lovecraftian thing from years and years ago. But
Yeah.
so she evidently she was sighted at the beginning of the movie, but now she's come back in 1981, and now she's got the crazy yellow eye, like blind eye, and a very healthy German Shepherd, not a ghost German Shepherd or anything. I don't know if they went to the pound or what happened. Who knows?
Yeah, how do you sign up for assistance when you're undead? Because in 1927, she went blind while she was reading the book and didn't like catch fire or something like that.
Something like that. I don't. I
Right.
think we're supposed to think that whenever anybody gets too close to the beyond, they are struck blind. Is that my theory? Go ahead.
Yeah, whatever.
It's hopeless.
It's a good theory. Whatever.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Okay, so we've got the kindly architect who's like, hey, we'll do all this stuff for the hotel. She's like, I can't afford it. That's okay. I'll do it for free. I'm going to go down to the records place and look for the book. And there was a cameo by Lucio Fulci as the guy, the kindly old librarian guy.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Kind
Son of a
old.
bitch. But I'll tell you right now, I'm not going back to watch this.
You're not going to go back, take another swing at it? So that homie gets attacked by a swarm of tarantulas up out of nowhere. You can't even look at the plans without crazy. And half of them are obviously fake. There's like a few like that are crawling that are real.
Like,
Right. It was like a puppet show, basically. It was like little marionettes crawling on their face. Zoom in, more eye damage. Poor guy.
Oh my
Very
God!
sad.
This was when I called William, because the tarantulas were just taking chunks out.
Yes.
Like your whole nostril would tear away.
Yes.
Your chunks of meat out of your tongue. A lot of things going in your mouth.
Yes.
Just like, oh.
Good times.
I was like, no.
Good times. Well, he fell off the ladder, and I wasn't sure, is he still with us or is he dead? Because he didn't really react to the spiders getting at him, so it's hard to know. And if he's already dead, it seems overkill to send the swarm of tarantulas at this point. Very sad. I literally wrote down some fake-ass spiders.
Fake-ass spiders who take big chunks of meat.
This is true. Oh, God. So there's a scene where Liza, like, she sees the Book of Abon in the room. Abon calling. I don't know.
Abon calling.
She sees the book in one of the room, in the haunted room 36, and then the book is gone. And she's walking by with Dr. McCabe, and she thinks she sees it in an old bookstore. And she runs in there, and it's a totally different book. And she's like, wait a minute, where's the other book that was here? And the old man is like, hey, that book's been there for 2 years.
And then there's always like this delusional laughing.
That book's been there for 2 years. And I kept thinking, if it's not selling, maybe put a different book in the window. What do you say? We don't need to leave the 2-year-old book sitting there. Not a bestseller is what you're saying. It's a good book too. I don't understand it.
It was on Oprah's list.
Yes, it was on Oprah's list. Oh, sweet
All right,
Jesus.
are we doing our favorite parts right now?
Yes. Oh, I'm swinging wide. Go for it.
All right. So at the very beginning,
Yes.
when they're killing basically the best parts of this are the disgusting murders.
Yes.
So we start off with when they drag the artist. They start beating him with chains that are 10 times thicker than the chains that Run DMC wore in
That's correct.
all their prime.
Mr. T wouldn't wear these chains.
Again, Mr. T, they're like they make Mr. T's chains seem like something an infant child would wear.
That's correct.
So every time the villagers would whack the artist, like a hunk of meat the size of your thigh would come flying off.
Yes.
I'm like, I'm thinking bruises. I'm not thinking like I'm beating you with razor wire.
That's correct. Yes.
It was insane because every time there'd be a whack, there'd just be like
Chunk.
I don't know, a farm of ham splayed out.
Yes, absolutely.
Disgusting.
I liked at the end of the movie when they run back to the hotel or to the hospital, and it's now clear things are weird because there's no one on the street, there's no one really in the hospital, and Dr. McCabe is like pulls a gun out of his desk drawer, and I kept thinking, I know this is the South, but really,
it's New Orleans, man.
He
Orleans.
He literally pulls out like a 44 and becomes Charles Bronson for the rest of the movie. Zombies smash in. I'm assuming they're zombies. They could just be disgruntled hospital patients for all we know, because they're all in bandages and things. It's hard to say.
We're making minimum wage. Unionize.
That's what I'm saying. They're all, Anyway, they grab Liza from behind, and McCabe, without hesitation, just starts shooting at him. Blam, blam, like shooting the guy's arm that he's holding her around the neck with. Okay? Yeah. Nice work.
And he's dumb as a post because clearly he shoots him in the leg, the shoulder, the arm.
Yes.
Oh, I shoot him in the head and they die. Next person, shoot him in the arm, shoot him in the leg, shoot him in the ass, shoot him in the head. Wow, they die.
Yes.
And over again. He must have a backpack full of ammunition because he must have to keep reloading because he still hasn't figured out you just shoot them in the head.
Right.
But blessedly, these are the zombies I can get behind where they're so slow. You can just jogged ahead and closed the door.
Oh, no question. Number one, he is not even remotely perturbed that there's zombies everywhere. His face, stone cold. Stoicism.
What the hell?
Nothing.
Where's that?
Now, we've already established he's kind of he's skeptical about all the voodoo and witchcraft. At one point, he's like, are you just trying to pull a joke on me or something?
Yeah. Maybe he thinks this is all an elaborate joke.
All part of the joke.
We got you.
And you're right. He is either the worst shot in the world or he's a moron. Because we like blam chest, blam head. Oh, now they fall. Okay. We're not going to learn that lesson.
All over again. Hand, knee, shoulder, belly, head.
Right. At one point, he walks up.
And then you got to reload again.
Right. And that's a whole nother question. Literally, sometimes it's an 8-shooter. Sometimes it's a 10-shooter. Who's to say how many shots bullets this gun can carry? At one point, he walks up to a zombie, points the gun at the guy's chest, point blank range, and still shoots him. We already know you just have to shoot him in the head. No, still not going to do that? Okay.
No.
Good times. Oh, sweet. And then he meets Dr. Harris, his associate there, who creepily appears with like a razor in his hand. And they're kind of chit-chatting a little bit. Meanwhile, zombies are roaming around. They're like, oh, let's go out this door. He takes his gun, shoots the window in the door, and the glass flies in the opposite direction and only hits Harris. Right into his face, including his eyeball. It was like,
always the eyes. Always the eyes.
He shoots the gun, the glass flies back at them, but only hits Harris. Very sad.
All right, so here's my thing now.
Go for it.
Sam Raimi, someone's always vomiting something into your mouth. Fulci, something's going in your eye.
Yes.
Eye pop.
That's standard.
That's those two directors' signature moves.
No question. There's going to be some eye damage going on in here.
Over and over and over again.
Yep, like over and over again.
Now, let me ask you a question. At one point, there's a scene where the blind girl, who's immortal, is in the living room with every one of the undead circling around, and she's having a basic conversation with herself. I think she's
talking to Schweik, who's there.
Well, she's talking to them, but they don't actually
because they're zombies. Speak. I guess that's how it works. I don't know.
Can you tell me what was it that she was supposed to be doing, and
Okay.
what is it that all these other people's eventual goals were? Because I have no clue about what they're trying to do. You think if you want the portal of hell to be open, that you would make it so people could help you versus
This is
working
the
against you all
character
the
of
time.
Emily. Is she a ghost? I have no idea, because Liza goes into the
Well, she can't be a ghost because her dog
that
eats
right.
her head
But
off.
here's the thing: it's like earlier in the movie, the Emily invites Liza into her home, right? Which is like fully furnished,
Right.
looks beautiful. Later, Emily's back in the home, fully furnished. In the middle, John McCabe is doing some investigating. He goes to the house and there's an abandoned shack. So, which is
Right.
You know, when she's alone,
Yeah.
it's still beautiful. She's sitting there. We don't know.
Well, they're witches.
It was a spell of some sort. You're right. Because it's like this woman, I guess we're supposed to think that 60 years ago, she went to the beyond, which is why she's a crazy blind woman now. And now she's come
Right.
back, presumably to kind of, like you say, kind of get it going to open up the last door of hell, I guess.
But what is it that she actually did besides saying hi and showing the
She
one
was
chick
trying
her
to
house?
get her to leave, which is why the zombies went and killed her. Remember,
Oh.
she's like,
You know how you do that? You just shoot her in the head. Now she's
well, there's
gone.
that. Well, I think she was
The
trying
end.
to. She was trying to
The
save
end.
her. She wasn't trying to kill her. She was saying, "Hey, leave this place. Go back to where you came from before it's too late." Is what her warning was basically. But then Liza's like, "Hey, I'll have to go on relief. I can't. No can do. I don't want to go on relief." So there you go.
Then you just kill her in a much easier way.
Something.
Although she is blind, so it'd be like the doctor shooting the zombies.
Yes.
Bang, 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 bang. Hold still, Marco Polo.
Well, and there's a scene that kind of establishes her as being kind of ghostly, because there's this bizarre montage that I had to watch 4 times to figure out what the hell was happening, where Liza is talking to Emily, and Emily runs out of the house, and the dog follows her. And then there's it's Eliza like thinking about, here's the feet running. Here are the feet running. Here are the feet running. Do you remember that little crazy, bizarre moment in the middle of it? Evidently, what that was supposed to show is when I'm walking, Liza, I have footsteps that you can hear. But when Emily, the crazy blind woman, runs, you can't hear anything. There are no footsteps.
Oh,
it was way too much. I'm like, what is happening in this scene?
What was supposed to happen to open the portal of hell?
I think it's opened at the end, and because what happened? They try to escape the hospital.
They can't open the portal if that chick is there. It has to be at empty, and now that she's in the beyond with her
with her man eyes,
now that kicks the door open.
I guess because that's how it ends.
And then
now the dead will walk the earth. They're already doing a good job of it, evidently. Who's to say? No one knows.
Wow.
It's a mystery to me.
We don't know.
We
don't know. I like the part where they were like, we need to call the FBI because the FBI is responsible for portals of hell and
call David Duchovny. I don't know.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Maybe Gillian Anderson, David Duchovny got this handled. But I think the zombies have to step over the line to Mississippi. And then they can get involved.
That's exactly right. Interstate. Very sad.
I am going to Google, who do I call
for zombies
when a portal?
Yeah, please Google this.
To hell. Open.
Do you have any other highlights you want to talk about?
Reddit. The first thing that pops up is Reddit. How do I close an open portal to hell?
This is important.
Maybe we need to watch that. So far, nothing is telling me who do I call.
Ghostbusters.
Son of a bitch.
Are you ready for behind the scenes? or not?
Now I'm first to open a portal to hell. First, find a group of summoners.
Don't read
So
any
I
more
guess
of this.
if
Is that the Book of Avon?
I think so. If there's summoners, there must be closerers.
Closerers. Exactly. That's what they're called. Oh, sweet Jesus. Okay.
All right, let me look over my. I made a sassy comment that the doctors wear their masks.
They
like
do!
people in Bakersfield wear
Yes,
their masks
they
in the
do.
pandemic.
It's very sad.
I think we got it all covered. There's no black
There's the
people
one.
in New Orleans, and no one
Well,
has a
no,
Southern
there's
accent.
one.
There was one in 1927, but in the current
Well,
times,
when Liza's having drinks with Dr. McCabe, an African American woman says, "Hey, sugar, the call's for you," or something like that. The phone is ringing. There's something along those lines. It was very offensive. Very offensive. Anywho.
Dear Lord.
Okay. So behind the scenes.
Lay it on me. Tell me about the eye pops and and Joe vomiting.
No, that's
up
a different
his own
movie.
Guts.
He did. You're right. He did.
Yes. Chunks.
Unnecessary. Unnecessary.
Of junk. Anything that would go into chorizo
no
was
question.
coming out of his
No.
mouth.
That ain't nothing. That ain't nothing. If you go see Gates of Hell, City of the Living Dead, it's literally like you see intestines. Awful.
No. In Zombie, they used real intestines, pig intestines, and they were eating raw liver.
Don't do it.
It was
Don't do it.
vomitors.
Okay. So, Spider-Man movie came out in 2002 starring Tobey Maguire. Used a shot from this film. My junior high school classmate. Absolutely. They used a shot from this film in the spider bite dream sequence from that movie.
Oh, with the spiders taking a chunk of meat.
With the spiders taking a chunk of meat. This movie was released in the United States several years later, where they called it The Seven Doors of Death. So,
the seven buckets of gore.
Excuse me, it was called The Seven Doors of Hell. And where they greatly reduced the gore and the carnage and kind of changed it. So, wasn't a big hit, I'm sorry to say. It was only released uncut, like in the late 90s. Then they said, "Here's the original, The Beyond."
Because by then Tarantino was the
patron or
business, and exploitation films were all like being evaluated.
The Book of Avon or whatever it is from the Cthulhu mythos originated by H.P. Lovecraft. Yeah. It was originally introduced in a 1933 story called Uba Sathya. You know it, don't you?
Well, the fact that there are no black people in it would have something to do with it's Lovecraft.
I haven't seen this much whitewashing since I watched Revenge of the Nerds, and there was not one black person on the entire football team. Very upsetting.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, we were watching going, where did this team play? Iceland? Anyway, good times. Like I said, Tarantino restored this in 1998 to... because he was a huge fan, because he liked all those grindhouse kind of movies.
Yeah, the gore and the slash and the goosh. It is what every high school guy would love. Slasher, guts, gore. The more shocking, the more disgusting, the better. But not a single tit. Usually in these kind of creepo movies, there's always some.
They usually throw us a few. This was the second part, as I said, as Lucio Fulci's Death Trilogy, including City of the Living Dead and House by the Cemetery.
Which sounds like a great name.
We'll have to wait and see. The guy who plays the window cleaner, Larry Ray, was the head of the Louisiana Film Commission at the time. They threw him a bone and threw him off the scaffolding. Very sad. Let's see. Like I said, Lucio Fulci was the librarian who goes out to lunch and locks the door right before the architect is attacked by the spiders.
I was doing the dish and I heard that I'm going to lock the door so that you can have your privacy. And I was like,
Right. It made no sense.
You're now locked in.
Well, they had to
being held hostage. I was like,
they had to
that
give a
doesn't make
long
any sense.
explanation as to why there wouldn't be anybody nearby to hear the screams. Because he's like, hey, union rules. I got to go eat lunch right now. That's how it goes. I'm not even hungry. Sorry. During the final scene in The Beyond, the sand-covered bodies lying on the ground, which matched the
Yes.
painting that the guy was drawing,
Yes.
were actually stark naked street derelicts who were paid in alcohol.
Oh my God. So long. It's
Good
so
times.
long.
Fulci at this point had decided he was no longer doing zombie-type movies any longer.
And
Well,
yet,
that's the thing. Basically, the producers, the money people were like, hey,
you got to give
if
us
you're going to if we're
paying.
paying for this thing, if we're hiring Lucio Fulci, you better throw some zombies in there. So that's why there's that like totally random zombie shootout scene at the end where there's like 100 zombies. And frankly, that scene with all those zombies is not really gory or graphic at all. You don't see anybody getting eaten. You don't see any viscera. It's just a lot of gunshots. Very sad.
Right.
A lot of people assumed Emily's brutal death from her seeing-eyed dog is just gratuitous violence, but it's actually meant to be kind of a hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil kind of situation, because she was already blind, so see no evil. It bites her so she can't speak, and then it rips her ear off so she cannot hear evil, evidently, anymore. It's deep. It's deep!
God. Oh my God. You want to see something that I just popped up on my Portal to Hell search? There's a Christian author who wrote that female masturbation can open a portal to hell. And that's why women should not be allowed to masturbate.
Common knowledge, as far as I know. And let's move away from that topic. Okay. The cast, I mean, I could list these names. You don't know who any of these people are. It don't matter.
It don't matter.
I mean, maybe if you were deep into Italian cinema around 1981, you'd have some idea. Otherwise, it's hopeless. It's hopeless. Very sad. I think that's about it. Do you want to talk about our ratings, perhaps?
I see that IMDb gave it a 6.8 out of 10.
Rotten Tomatoes, 67% fresh. Audience gave it 76%. So there you go.
Because the audience is only going to be made up of people who love.
Well, yes,
Fulci.
and that's a self-selecting group. This is also considered his masterpiece, his master stroke, if you will. So, what is your rating?
I am going to give it 2 nostril rips by a giant spider out of.
I will give.
You're only tuning in for the gore.
Yes.
Because there is no
I'm going to give it 3 popping eyeballs out of 5. It's not something that I'm dying to ever watch again, although the scenes that are ridiculous are hilarious in my mind. The things that are ridiculous, you're just like, what is going on? But you have to be prepared to wade through the viscera. You have to be okay wading through.
Yeah. The spider made me laugh. It was
Yes.
so ridiculous. It was so disgustingly ridiculous. There were other things where I was like feeling a little upset. in
there
my
was.
stomach.
There was. But
You're
I
like,
mean,
ooh.
honestly, I mean, if you haven't seen Dawn of the Dead lately, I think that's far more violent. All the George Romero movies, Day of the Dead, where it's literally guts getting ripped out for 20 minutes. That's much worse.
Yeah.
This is like kind of punctuated with here's an eyeball here, here's an eyeball there, but it isn't like 2 hours of gore. I don't know. Take what you will from that. You wouldn't recommend it, is what you're saying.
Well, I would really pass on it, but there's some lovely trailers on IMDb that we'll have to post out there.
So there you have it. Thank you very much. Go to our page on Facebook at The Podcast That Wouldn't Die. Go to our page on Twitter at TPodcastTWDie. Email us.
Oh, Joe the Plumber, I think, is Italian. I'm looking at all the name. It just says Joe the Plumber. credit only. I don't know. Giovanni.
Cinzia
no.
Monzorale. Who else? Giovanni Bonava. Michelle Mirabella. Gianpaolo Saccarola.
So they're shipping all these people from.
It was filmed in New
where
Orleans.
was this filmed, sir? I know you were trying to. It was actually filmed
on location
in
at
New
the
Orleans.
Seven Doors Hotel, evidently. I just made that up. I don't know. It was filmed in New Orleans, though. That much I know.
So they shipped all these Italian actors over.
Well, there
to
were.
the United
It's
States.
probably 50-50 if you look. There's a lot of these guys are not Italian, and most spoke perfect English. But the problem is Lucio only speaks Italian. So good times.
Okay.
Email us at the podcast that wouldn't die at Gmail. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, etc., etc., etc. Aaron, you're on social media as well.
I am the Cult of Aaron on the Twitski and the Insta. Join
There
the
you
cult.
have it. So good times had by all. Thank you very much, and be well.
Peace in the Middle East.